Hello and welcome back to Brick Speak. I'm your host, Brigadier Bhatia. In today's episode, we will cover the chapter Lights Go Out in your prescribed book, Surrender Was the Threat. It was on 22nd October 1947 that a tribal invasion from Pakistan took place into the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. The betrayal within the state forces changed the course of history. This led to widespread violence and a struggle for control over the region, which continues till date. This presentation covers the key events that unfolded during that period, highlighting the impact on Kashmir and subsequent political developments. Before we begin, a quick look at the map again. Pay attention to the boundary between the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir and newly created West Pakistan. The boundary moved along the Jhelum River up to Muzaffarabad, and from there it goes parallel to the Neelam, as it is called in Pakistan. The boundary ran parallel to it towards northward. The road which was coming into Srinagar was from Rawalpindi, Murree, Muzaffarabad, Domel, Chenari, Udi, Mahura, Baramulla, and on to Srinagar. The road that I described is along the banks of Jhelum. From Domel, it took a sharp turn towards south and flows into Pakistan. Muzaffarabad is a major town. We will talk about it in detail. Domel is the place where the Neelam or the Kishan Ganga river comes and joins Jhelum. This is how Domel looks like, wherein Jhelum river is joined by Neelam or Kishan Ganga and thereafter continues to flow as Jhelum. Udi is a major town where important events took place, which we are going to cover in today's presentation. Mahura was where there was a power station and electricity supply to the town of Srinagar was from this power station. Srinagar, of course, was the most prominent town. Also pay attention to airfield, which is to the south of Srinagar. This again played a very important role in Indian Army saving Kashmir. There was another dirt road which connected Srinagar to India. This road moves via Banihal onto Srinagar. Let's begin with the sequence of events. On 21st October 1947, Muzaffarabad astride the Kishan Ganga river, which is 2 miles north of Domel, was a very peaceful trading town. Most of the business was controlled by Hindus and Sikhs, who were comparatively richer than the Muslims who used to stay in Muzaffarabad. The border was 7 miles to the west of Muzaffarabad. Most of the export and import into the state was controlled from Muzaffarabad. Though there were rumors of raids in Jammu province by tribals, however, these were not taken too seriously in Muzaffarabad. 4th Jammu and Kashmir Infantry was deployed in Muzaffarabad Domel area. This unit had seen service in Burma during World War II. On map, this is where Muzaffarabad and Domel are located. 4 J&K battalion was a mixed battalion which had 50% Dogras and 50% Punchi Muslims. In the previous episode, Brigadier Gotra has already covered the role of Punchi Muslims. The unit was commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Narayan Singh, who had spent his entire career with the battalion. The battalion was deployed in a defensive position on prominent features to cover approaches into the state. The majority of the deployment was along Domel Bridge in particular. These defensive positions were manned only in emergency, otherwise, the entire battalion used to live in peacetime in barracks. The weapons were stacked in the company armories. There were incidents of Punchi Muslims who had defected from the state forces elsewhere. Lieutenant Colonel Narayan Singh was advised to return Muslim troops to Srinagar and Dogras to replace them. However, he rejected, stating that he had more confidence in his Muslim troops than in the Dogras. He also felt that this would inflict a grievous insult on his Punchi Muslim men. On 22nd October, while most of Dogra's colleagues of the Punchis lay asleep, they drew their weapon from armories. They trained automatic guns on barracks and armories, denying access to weapons to Dogras. They killed their comrades, which included Lieutenant Colonel Narayan Singh. They also contacted the tribals who had halted on the Pakistani side of the border and thereafter participated in rape, loot, and arson. The tribal convoy was ironically now led by Punchi Muslims of 4th J&K Infantry. It moved up the road towards the valley. There was psychological warfare that Muslims of the state were against the state and wished to join Pakistan. Colonel Akbar Khan purposely was spreading this propaganda so as to affect defection. But thousands of Muslims in the government, the state force, and in the national conference helped in stemming the invasion. One particular case is of Mahmud Sherwani, who acted as guide to the tribals but misled them and instead of taking them to Srinagar, took them to some other place, thereby imposing delay. He was publicly shot in the town of Baramulla few days later. Brigadier Rajinder Singh, the new chief of staff, collected 200 men and rushed to Domir. His only hope was in delaying the enemy. He prepared the demolitions of numerous bridges en route and planned to blow them as he organizes a withdrawal. He reached Uri luckily before the raiders could reach. After deploying his force on prominent features, he prepared the bridge for demolition and awaited arrival of tribals. Dr. Karan Singh says it was a very worrying situation. We were under attack. Rajinder Singh was given the order by my father, who was the Maharaja at that time, and he, that is Brigadier Rajinder Singh, just saluted and walked away. While Brigadier Rajinder Singh was waiting on 23rd of October, the tribals appeared. They were initially halted with long-range fire. The enemy tried to outflank him with, he denied the enemy the opportunity to outflank him with organized withdrawal. As pressure increased, he pulled back and gave orders for the bridge. After blowing the bridge, there was a yawning gap, impossible for the raiders to span without equipment and engineering skill. Raiders who were not ready to be separated from the transport because they wanted the transport to carry the loot back home decided to stay put there. This gave additional 4 days, which became very critical for defense of Srinagar. This is an archival photograph of that time. You can see 2 lorries used by the raiders parked and marked within the red circles, and the bridge which was demolished by Brigadier Rajinder. 24th October, raiders crossed the Jhelum by footbridge north of Puri and advanced along the north bank in the direction of Mahura. Here lay another bridge across the river, and having crossed it, they would have been in a position to occupy the features behind the state force party. Anticipating this, Brigadier Rajinder Singh evacuated and withdrew, decided to carry out an engagement with raiders. At Diwan Mandir, Brigadier Rajinder Singh fell mortally wounded. His colleagues had put him under a culvert after he was wounded, hoping to get him back after a few days. Nobody heard about him after that. Despite being a very bold action and achieving the result ultimately, there were certain follies which the military experts talk about actions of Brigadier Rajinder Singh. In Badami Bagh, there were 1,850 officers and men which were available for deployment. He could have taken more people instead of moving only with 200 men. He did not have automatics or mortars, but definitely he had rifles and they were not short of ammunition and grenades. The force that was available could have been organized into two ad hoc units, which would have offered resistance in a country that lends itself to defense. Possible shortage of petrol could be the reason that he did not take balance of the troops with him, because time was at premium. It is also being questioned that why he did not place a junior officer in command of the token force, which he decided to lead himself. As chief of staff, probably he should have organized the limited resources which were at his disposal. His absence left his headquarters rudderless. The men continued to be in their barracks and were left out of the battle. Had the raiders succeeded in capturing Srinagar, these men would have been butchered in any case. In Srinagar, the electric power supply on 24th of October suddenly failed. Those in authority drew a conclusion that the only possible reason could be that the Mahura powerhouse has been taken over by the raiders. This is how Mahura power plant looks like today. The building can be seen in the photograph which is down below, and the equipment is lying in a big room destroyed by the raiders. With fall of Muzaffarabad and Domil, death of the chief of staff, and the stoppage of electric power, Maharaja realized the grimness of the situation. He appealed to the Maharaja Patiala for military aid, who sent one infantry battalion in Jammu and an ad hoc artillery battery. However, their presence did not alter the situation. Possibility of tribesmen reaching Srinagar any moment forced Maharaja Hari Singh to take a decision to proceed to Jammu over the Banihal Pass. Hence, Maharaja's dream of an independent sovereign state of Jammu and Kashmir had been shattered. On 26th of October, he signed an Instrument of Accession. This was the Instrument of Accession, which were countersigned by Lord Mountbatten, who was the Governor General of India. Incidentally, the language is the same as was signed by the balance of the Maharajas and kings of the princely state who decided to merge into the dominion of India. This is how Kashmir acceded to India, and this is the headline of Hindustan Times on 27th October 1947. Once Kashmir joined India, Indian Armed Forces moved into Kashmir over the wings of courage, which will be covered in the next episode. With this, I come to the end of today's episode. I'll request you to please like, share, comment, and also subscribe. Keep working hard. Jai Hind.